Today on Two Expats Wtf, we are not our usual cheery selves. We complain a lot and pretend to solve the world's problems. So if you decide to stick around, then get some napkins, because we talk about depression. Yay! Two Expats Wtf, your spiritual guide through Expatia. Disclaimer: in traces it may contain serious conversation. And welcome. This is Two Expats Wtf, as you've gotten accustomed to this sound. Hi Bogdan.
Hi Zoli.
Today there's just the two of us because we've came with a really special subject in what we are pretty much, should I say, experts in.
Experts, yeah, you could say so.
Yeah, and the topic is how to prevent losing one's mind as an expat.
Yeah, more or less going to talk about what it's called expat depression or expat guilt. They're two different things, of course, but there are two things that affect one's life quite quite significantly, and it feels like there's a lot of expats that go through some kind of a depression or guilt,
sense of hopelessness, lack of belonging.
Yeah, because
homesickness.
Because it's quite. You get quite easy into that kind of a state of mind. And of course, both me and you have gone through similar things.
Yeah, in my case, it was a bit lighter because I was pretty isolated at home as well. So didn't really miss people because I wasn't really in contact with people. That's just how I am. I have a pretty tight circle of friends and that's it.
Yeah, but I was thinking about let's start with something easy. How can you recognize depression in general, or maybe I don't know if it's specific to expat depression, but anyway, depression. I think there are a few signs and symptoms of depression, right? There's like sleep disturbance, diminished interest in as a whole. You know, you're not interested in general as much as you were before about different things, and guilt or feeling worthless, a loss of energy, concentration difficulties or indecisiveness.
You should describe my life, man.
Yeah, and then there's some more that's going to describe your life and mine at one point. Appetite abnormality or weight change, and then you have the extreme cases where there are like psychomotor retardation or agitation, you know, where you are either very sluggish and slow or very agitated and restless, you know. And then you have the really bad ones, acts or thoughts of suicide or thoughts of death in general. So these are, as a whole, some of the signs and symptoms of depression. And if you think about it, I think most of us at one point did have a degree of these signs, you know, because it's not, you can't really pinpoint it. Oh, now it's sleep disturbance, or now it's diminished interest, you know.
And it's not necessarily all of the symptoms. It's mainly some of the symptoms in a certain combination. And I think that's somehow perfectly natural if you unroot yourself and find yourself in a completely foreign and alien situation to be feeling helpless or lost.
There's a few things that you need to think about. So we're going to try to see if we can find a few tips so that you guys that maybe have these kind of issues can cope with these easier. And the first,
a small disclaimer: this starts off being a pretty serious podcast. There won't be many jokes, or if there will be, it will be black humor. So viewer discretion advised. And another disclaimer that we are in no shape or form experts. We are talking about our own experience and what helped us. The same shit might do you wrong, or might get you in worse situation than you are right now. So take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah,
hopefully not. But one thing that's interesting, that's more common to depression somehow, is for the people moving abroad. What happens is usually when back in your home country, right? You had your support system, if I may call it that way. You had your friends, your family, you had people you could talk to and just get some steam out, or just be able to let things out and cope easier with some of the daily stresses, right?
Even some bullshit like shouting with a friend or a family member. It helps you, and you're deprived of that here as well. So sometimes the simple act of shouting or getting mad at someone and letting that out might be helpful and might get you back on the right track. And here you are deprived of that as well, because if you start shouting at someone as an expat, you're instantly labeled as a trouble citizen, or you'll get into more trouble than normally would.
Yeah.
So it's a really delicate situation, and especially lately with this asshole COVID.
Oh yeah,
it was even worse. It just piled up the shitstorm,
Yeah, but I was thinking that's one of the common things for most expats. When moving abroad, you kind of lose that. You kind of don't have your friends and your family and all of these things you've built throughout the years, so you can cope with everyday stresses or even bigger stresses that can come up. And you kind of deprive yourself of that support system, And that's one of the hardest things to get as an expat. It means you need to make friends. It means to start new ways of living, or start new habits that are similar to the ones that you've had before moving. Like for us, for example, I remember when we were in Romania, we number one, we were friends and we could talk to each other everything, and it was quite easy to just call you up. Hey Zoli, what's up? Can we grab a beer? Or can we go somewhere, just let off some steam, or just have fun, relax? And we would just hop in the car,
and drive until we find a nice forest and hike or something.
Yeah, hike, I don't know, cook something, make a fire. And be Neanderthals, just forget about the fucking stresses of
that was our relaxation. And me, the idiot, moved to Germany, and here it's illegal to make fires in the wood. So I can't do that.
You can do it in a special fire stove.
Yeah, and especially...
But it's not the same shit. I know, I get it.
Yeah, all the losers and pansies do it there. I need to do it with a fire steel or...
The Neanderthal manly way. Yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean. Look at that. It's one support system that we've had, and it's our common support system, because we used to be we used to support each other, right? Just get in the car, have fun, forget about our problems, and then come back with new energies and solve the issues that we have to solve.
Exactly. And here the problem is that I know that most of you would say, but you have Skype, you have Zoom, you have whatever the fuck you have, and you can still keep in touch with friends and family. The problem with that is that with family, they are as worried about you as you are about them. So you do not really want to tell them the shit you're in. Or if you have any problems, then you hide those problems and try to be as positive as possible. I'm not really capable of that, so I avoid conversations with my family. That's my solution.
That subject a bit, but there's a thing called expat guilt. What is that? Well, that is I kind of felt that sometimes. And we touched a bit on that subject at one point. what I told you, I have an inner struggle between the fact that I'm kind of like sad for leaving everybody else behind. I kind of feel guilty for doing that, but at the same time, I'm so happy for being able to move, and although that implies that I have to leave them behind, and that's kind of fucked up feeling, and it's really hard to get it to understand that you're not really guilty of doing anything else but trying to live your life in the best way you can, and so I think it's a thing that a lot of people struggle with, a lot of expats struggle with. I'm guilty. I feel guilty about leaving my parents behind. My parents are maybe old and sick, and they need help, and they need our support, and we're not there to
especially
get them, right?
This is an Eastern European thing. I believe that we were raised up believing, and we were taught as a child that that's your responsibility to take care of your parents. Here in the Western world, it is perfectly acceptable to put your parents in a home or pay someone to take care of your parents. At home, back in Eastern Europe, if you would do something like that, you would be the shittiest son on the face of the earth. And that's what I'm doing right now, because my mom is... Yeah, exactly. My mom is pretty sick, was sick all my adolescent and adult life, and I am not capable of taking care of her. And I wouldn't be, because she requires 24-hour assistance. I couldn't do that even if I remained home. But the difference is that me leaving gave me the opportunity to send some money back. And if I would have stayed there, I could do nothing but watch her struggle firsthand, and visit her daily and say, it's shit. I know, it's bad.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because it's kind of a fucking double-edged sword. If you were to remain back with your parents and your mother and help your mother, you couldn't actually help her in the way you wished you could. But
I could not help her while I was there.
And I know.
It led me to be angry with her, because it was stealing away my me time, it's such a fucked up way of thinking. And I was mad at myself that I was thinking that, or even the thought crossed my mind. I was an asshole for thinking that.
No, it's not. I think everybody should think about themselves. My wife. My wife posted an interesting thing on Facebook, and what was it? If I may just Google it, not Google it, but Facebook it. She posted a picture, and that was saying like this: when someone helps you when they're struggling too, that's not help, that's love. And I kind of recognize that, because even though sometimes I'm struggling myself and I feel like I can't cope with my own shit, I still try to help my family or my friends. And I think it's kind of the same thing you felt in Romania, because you were having a lot of shit to deal with, and then you had to help your family, and you couldn't. And now it's...
I was an extremely frustrated person. You know me. If you looked at me wrong on the street, I didn't even know you, and I jumped to fight. I was an idiot, and now I'm compared. I'm a Zen master. I'm still not okay, but I'm
Buddhist monk.
I'm much calmer, and I take the time to think about things before acting or reacting, and that's I believe that improved my relationship with all my family members, because I sort of reacted to some shit they said, even if it wasn't intentioned as a bad thing, but I perceived it as like that, and I just exploded. Now I can just think about it and have the time to think it over or put myself in their shoes. So in a weird way, me leaving improved my relationship with my family.
Yeah, most definitely, because of course there's a lot of benefits to being an expat. We're today talking about mostly about one of the hardships of being an expat. And I was trying to say that although there's this guilt thing, I think you are much better equipped to deal with the problems that are still that you still have back in your home country, back with your parents and maybe your friends and so on. You're better equipped just because you've developed yourself as a person so much more, and then you have even better like financial situation, and you can even help on that side if there's a need to, But then again, let's get back on track. Let's see what can we do to get this support system the support system that we're talking about, right? You said that FaceTime, Skype, and so on doesn't really work.
It's better than nothing, so
yeah.
I would recommend you to use it. Mm-hmm. But the first and most important, do not move alone. Mm-hmm. Move with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, or even a friend. But do not take this step alone if you have any chance not to do it alone.
Because if you are alone, but you still want to move to Germany, Sweden, Australia, Mozambique, whatever you want to move to, what then?
Prepare yourself. Do some fasting. Do some social fasting while home.
Yeah.
Try it out to see how it goes.
I was thinking you're right. Even though Skype, FaceTime, and whatever kinds of things you can do are still not as efficient, you can try to make like some kind of a schedule with that. Talk to your friends and say, hey, I miss you a lot. I still want to have our relationship. Let's try to make a schedule where we can have our like half an hour of just talk, And then the other thing you can do to get your support system, which is much harder, of course, it gets even harder with age. Going over 30, it's much harder to do this. That is getting out and making friends.
Yeah, and if you're an asshole genetically, then it's even harder. I know.
Who knows? You can make friends with other assholes, man. Who knows?
Yeah, I might. But it requires a certain type of asshole, Not any will do.
Yeah.
What you could do, what makes it a bit easier, because locals are predominantly snobs and they do not really want to mingle with expats or immigrants. Find your local expat or immigrant groups and try to mingle with them. I am part on Facebook.
Yeah.
I never met with anyone live, but I see what's going on there. It's a pretty vibrant and full of life thing to do and place to be.
Yeah.
So if I was more social and I felt the need for something like that, I think that's where I would start searching.
Yeah, that's a really good place to start.
Because you meet with people who are in the same shoe as you, and they know what you're going through. And even if you can help each other, even if you just tell your sorrows or bitch about the country you moved to, because sometimes that even helps if you bitch about something you don't agree with or makes your life difficult. It helps. Just get it out.
And another thing you can do in general in depression is try to go out and exercise. It is definitely known by a lot of mental health experts that physical exercise helps to keep your mental illness in check.
Releases endorphins in the body, that
so you get an endorphin boost, right?
Yeah, I had no idea about this because I'm a moron, but but I started
moron.
Yeah. I started thinking that I was in a bad place and I didn't have the mental capacity to Google my symptoms, and it was clearly depression. But what I thought about, if I saw these symptoms in a dog, what the fuck would I do with that dog? How would I rehabilitate that dog? And my first and my second idea and course of action both were, first of all, exercise, go for walks, go for runs, and go to a dog park. And I said, okay, I do not want to go to a dog park because for me that would mean meeting people. So what do? I go for walks and I go hiking daily, about 5 or 6 kilometers minimum if I have the time, and it truly helps.
I was thinking some of us may have a really busy work life or in general feel like they don't have the time. But one thing you can definitely do in that situation where you feel like you don't really have the time is I was thinking, how can you still get some sort of exercise and still do your daily chores and daily activities that you have to do, like going to work, or you might have 2 or 3 jobs, I don't know. But to be able to do those, try to stop using, for example, public transport. Use a bicycle. Go.
No, don't use a bicycle. I hate bicyclists. All bicyclists are fucking assholes.
Exactly. But be an asshole, and and you might get good. It might be good for your mental
better
health.
Walk, walk, or crawl, or fly, or whatever. Don't use a bicycle.
Try to get your motion in your physical activity that way somehow. Not to rely so much on public transportation. And if you don't have the time to go out in parks, as Zoli has.
What I did while I was working in an office, and I've gotten fat because I was sitting 8 to 9 hours a day, we had 1 hour break for lunch. And what I did was just made some sandwiches at home and didn't eat out. After a while, I realized that that's the problem, that I always went to some fast food joint and got some huge, greasy, cheesy something. And I just got bigger and bigger and more depressed and more depressed. So what I did, in that hour, I made some sandwiches at home, I ate them in the office, and I just went for a walk. I found a route that took me exactly an hour, and it was sort of a challenge for me to do that route in less and less time, and by the end I was fucking dying. I couldn't catch my breath, but I got that route that took me first an hour, got it down to half an hour, because I was not running, but I was power walking, Nordic walking,
Yeah.
And I walked out my anger, and I was flailing my arms like I was punching something, and punching my colleagues, and punching the clients, and punching my co-workers in my head. And when I got back to the office, I was tired as fuck, but I wasn't wired so tight. I could relax a bit.
Yeah. One thing that usually is really hard to do when you're depressed, you usually have these kind of sleep issues. Either you can't get enough sleep or you sleep too long. So my advice is try to keep somehow not really a schedule. For example, if you can't get enough sleep, right? Try, for example, getting short naps. Sometimes that helps. For me, for example, I had a period where I felt that I didn't have energy, although I was actually sleeping like fucking 10 hours a night. But I felt so deprived of energy, and I started to do some research in Google a bit. Research. It's called Googling nowadays. Yeah. And I've found a lot of interesting stuff about power naps, like just napping but that has to be less than 1 hour. If it goes on over 1 hour, then it's your body goes into a different kind of state, and you feel tired if you wake up, and it's weird. So try to get some of those power naps in, and you might feel better about your sleep. In both cases, either if you don't have enough sleep, or if you get too much sleep but still feel tired. So that would be one thing.
Another thing I would recommend, and I know that helped me a lot, find a hobby. Find something that would give your life meaning, give your life
pleasure, right?
Yeah, pleasure. And for me, one of the greatest things that helped me through my depression was volunteering. Knowing the fact that if I didn't get my fucking lazy ass off this couch and went out and helped this dog, it might get euthanized. That was such a kick in the balls that, hey fucker, realize that you're not the center of the earth. Although you feel shitty, it's not just about you. Get the fuck up your ass and do something. Do something positive, do something helpful. And I was talking to myself, and I'm not talking to you guys. Do not get this wrong. That's how I motivate myself, because I'm such a lovely guy.
I was just thinking about it, imagining you as a depressed guy and starting to kick yourself in the balls. Come on, move! Oh, come on! And
Move, you asshole.
if it helped, that's just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that there are a few more things that you should be careful if you're going through some kind of a depression state. Being an expat is even harder because you don't have, as we talked about in the beginning, it's really hard to get that support system. And sometimes some of us tend to go overboard with alcohol, for example. And now Zoli's just drinking his beer, looking at me. I'm not.
I couldn't swallow my beer.
You.
What the fuck are you talking about, man? What are you implying?
I'm not talking about you right now, anyway.
Okay. Go on. I'll allow it for now.
No, but it's one of the things that it's quite easy to fall into the trap of using more alcohol than before, because it's kind of relaxing and gives you somehow it helps you like forget the state, the mental state you are in, and the feeling of helplessness or other kinds of fucked up feelings, and you just get free of them for that moment when you're drunk somehow.
Yeah, for a couple of hours you get numb. You numb these feelings. You quiet the shouting in your head. That's I've been through that, I know. Another thing I've saw is searching or looking for small highs. I'm sure you know some person like this, that they get extremely excited about something and they forget about it in 2 weeks. And there's not another something they get extremely excited and they're about to change the world, they'll change their lives, they'll change everything, and in 2 weeks they've forgotten about that. That, I believe, that is as well a sign of depression. You know, that finding small highs that could get you out of your daily rut. And that's, if you see that in a friend, I would recommend you to help them, or at least sit down and talk with them, because in some way that's a cry for help as well.
And I think it's quite easy, unfortunately, depending on the country you live in, of course, because in Sweden you have to have money to to be able to drink. Since like it costs shit tons of money just to be able to drink one beer, compared to Germany, for example. But anyway, the thing is, like, it's quite easy, unfortunately, with most of these kind of addiction drugs, if I can call alcohol a drug.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah, but I mean, it's quite easy to slip into the dark side and
to go overboard.
Yeah, but not even notice it yourself. You just, it's one glass more than yesterday, whatever. I just feel fine. It's good.
Yeah, it's perfectly normal, and just go on with your life. That's how I was with cigarettes. I was a huge smoker. And if I had enough money to buy a loaf of bread or buy a pack of cigarettes, although I haven't eaten anything in 24 hours, guess what would I buy? No questions asked, not even thinking about it, I would buy the cigarettes.
Yeah.
And it showed. I had 50 kilos at one point.
No, but it's weird, because being an expat, being in a foreign country without a built-in friend circle, it's like one of the
sort
hardest,
of a safety net, I believe.
Exactly. It's one of the hardest thing a person can do in his life, and it's made even worse if the country has a different language than your native language, because then you have a language barrier and you have to focus on trying to focus a lot of energy on learning that language to be able to get these friends, this support system. And I don't know, it feels like when you're an expatriate and you get in this depressed downward spiral, it feels like there's a need for a bit of a different approach than the normal depression that everybody expect. Except I'm not telling that it's worse or it's easier.
It's
just different. Yeah. And the thing is, like, expatriates are likely to become depressed when their expectations of living abroad are vastly different from the reality, coupled with loneliness and not having your support system, of course. It just gets worse. It gets a bit worse faster.
I believe that we do this to ourselves, because I might get philosophical again, but I am going home at the end of the week. I'm going to Romania to visit friends and family after 2 years, and I'm already dreading it. Because as an expat, you are not allowed to show weakness, to show regret, to show anything that would imply that your life over there isn't perfect. Because then it would dismantle your life choice of moving abroad. It would mean that you made the wrong choice, or it would mean that you didn't make the perfect choice. So you have to put up this charade that everything is great, everything is made of honey over there, and you're great. And herein lies the problem, that your family members or your friends see this, they move abroad, and it's fucking not that. It's not that. And of course they will get depressed, and of course I will get depressed if I see another expat here than I was expecting. And it's sort of a punch in the nose after dreaming about it and thinking that your life would be perfect. Do not get me wrong, it's infinitely better, because if it wouldn't, we would go home.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not the utopia you dreamed up at home. And you have to prepare yourself. So if you're not an expat and you're listening to this show, then go hug an expat. That's hashtag hug an expat. I don't know.
Hashtag hug an expat. But the thing is, it touched on an interesting subject, and it's interesting because, for example, when I visit Romania and I go back to my friends and family, I kind of notice all the shit in Romania. You know, all the bad things. I kind of get fucking disturbed by the like, there's no cleanliness compared to Western Europe.
Yeah, what's the percentage that in Romania people have their bathrooms at the end of the garden, at the back of the garden?
I have no idea, but I don't really care. But that's what I mean. The thing is, like,
mind-boggling.
I kind of get bothered by all these fucking shit things that are mostly things that were reasons why I moved from Romania, you know, and I kind of get like sidetracked because of those. And when I talk about Sweden, I kind of tend to put them in opposite, you know, just because I feel so shit now when I'm in Romania because of all this shit that I'm seeing, all the traffic, all the disrespect for people and stuff like that. That I only think, oh my god, it's so good back home for me in Sweden. I just can't wait to go back. And when people ask me how it is in Sweden, automatically I just like spit out or vomit out the good things, because I'm so fucking irritated about these things that are popping into my head and into my face at that moment, that I just tend to show the good card, you know?
Yeah, of course, it's perfectly understandable. And I've happened to catch a podcast, I believe it's called Happy Fish. It's a Romanian podcast, and they had a guest, Alex Tocilescu, on. And he lived in Germany for a long time. He moved when he was 12, and he moved back to Romania when he was in his 30s. And what he said was so simple, yet it stuck with me. And he said that when he saw Romania's problems and saw all the shit that's happening there, it was amusing for him, because he saw that these problems could be solved, all of them. All of Romania's problems could be solved in 2 weeks if everyone wanted it to be solved.
Yeah.
And that's it. It just takes the goodwill of everyone, and in 2 weeks there would be no problems anymore.
Yeah, but that's something that is quite...
What do you mean changing the status quo? That's impossible.
Yeah, just think about it. You have to align 20 million people and brainwash them into normalcy, if you would like to say it so. Although normality or normality, you define it in different ways, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you know that this, I think I will get crucified for this, but this Romanian stupidity has its positive sides as well. For instance, now with COVID, Romania has a fucking great vaccination numbers. Because what did they do? They just gave free meals for whoever got vaccinated. And even if you're rich, if you get something for free in Romania, you go and get it.
Yeah.
That's the mentality, you know. Even if you don't need it, you have to get it because it's free. And that's how they tricked people to get vaccinated.
Back in my hometown of Arad in Romania, they actually did it was so fucked up, a vaccination party, you know, as a concert in front of the city hall. There was like a fucking huge concert. Everybody was welcome, and they were all welcome to go and vaccinate at the concert, you know. So there was a fucking concert in front of the city hall, and beside the concert there was a lot of fucking vaccination booths. I don't know if it worked or not, but it's interesting to see. Like that's so.
In Romania, there are vaccination drive-thrus. You just stick your arm out the window and you get vaccinated. And you get vaccinated in churches. And it was marketed that
God vaccinates you.
No. Get vaccinated to be able to go to church.
Yeah.
Because if you're vaccinated, you are allowed to meet and go into crowds. And it's so mind-boggling the huge gap between Romania and Romanians, because you have to be fucking brilliant to come up with these ideas, and you have to be fucking stupid to fall for them. You know, it's
brilliantly
like
stupid.
Exactly. How does that work?
It's interesting. Yeah, no, it's interesting. That's what I was talking about this in one of our episodes, that I kind of have a utopia in my head where you could try to combine like the Western society with the Romanian society, and somehow you'd get a fucking awesome country. Yeah. But that's another thing. But we digress from the subject a bit. I was thinking that some people that go through a bad time abroad, they lack the tools or motivation, or they are in such a bad state that they can't really do any of the things that we've mentioned until now, right? It's very hard for some people to get to do some things, but in that case, my advice, I'd give this to anyone. It doesn't matter if you do have a mental health issue or not. Seek professional help. Go to therapy. It's one of the best things
to go to therapy. I believe that would be the message, especially for expats who grew up in Eastern Europe or in other parts of the world where that's taboo. You'd rather have a broken arm than a mental illness, because the broken arm is acceptable. The mental illness isn't.
No, but the thing is, like, when you're depressed, the depression can trick you into staying depressed and keep you from seeking the help you need. And this is really unfortunate, and you cannot let it do that. While you're not responsible for your mental illness, getting healthy is your responsibility, and you should be your number one priority. And admitting you have a problem, of course, is the first step to getting help. And that's what I'm saying. I myself have been through therapy, and since I've been through that experience, I've felt like there is so much good in therapy you can get if you find the right therapist, that it doesn't really matter if you are feeling well or not. You still get better every day. Every time you go to the therapist, you kind of solve more and more problems, and you get the tools necessary to solve your problems. That's what's happening mostly, because no therapist is going to solve your problems. They're just going to teach you, look, these are the tools. Here,
put the spotlight on the solution that you cannot see.
Yeah, and you get the tools necessary to solve your issues. And I definitely feel like if you're in such a state, just do it. Don't think about shame, and it's people are gonna think about me that I'm crazy.
Do it in secret.
Yeah, do it in secret.
Although I'm preaching and not doing it, you know, because I've never been. I know if I'm thinking rationally, it would help me, because I do have some things I'm struggling with. But for now, I'm still at the level that I try to tackle them on my own. It's not the best, but hey, I need to evolve as well.
Yeah. No, but there's one more thing, unfortunately, for expats. this besides all of these usual problems that people might have against going to therapy, these arguments, you have one more, which is for most of the expats that live in a country that don't have the same language as you have, or one language that you can
that could be
fluently
as well.
Because you kind of automatically get another excuse, not being able to explain yourself in the language your psychologist or therapist is using.
And being completely honest, is fucking difficult to express your feelings not in your mother tongue, because you have to master that language in order to be able to do that, because there are some subtleties that must not be overlooked when you do that. But at the age of the internet, you can get a therapist from home and do it online.
Yeah,
I'm certain that's possible.
That's what I was thinking. I'm not gonna say anything else. That just I know there's a site. It's called BetterHelp.com, and just because it's about therapy, I don't care about the fact that we're promoting them. I say we're promoting people's needs somehow. It's their needs. So it's called BetterHelp.com. There you can definitely get all kinds of counseling services in different languages, and I've only heard good things about it. Hopefully it is so. I've never tried it myself, but that's what I'm trying to say. Although you are in a country in which you might not know the language, or might feel like you couldn't be able to express yourself as you should, or as you want to, there are other tools online, as Zoli said. You can definitely find something online. I do know, I have friends that have done therapy online. It's okay. It works. It still works. You don't need to be present for that. You just have to be open-minded and understand that the therapist is a tool. He's your tool to getting better. You can use him to get better.
Yeah, and do not let yourself be fooled by stupid shit like that. That I've saw this a million times on Facebook, that if you're depressed, a picture of a forest, this is medicine, not real medicine. Yeah, that might be if you're not depressed. If you have a bad day, it might help you, of course. But if you have a problem, then you should seek medical attention. You should seek expert attention.
Professional help,
Professional help. And I would be really, really interested in you guys' experience and your opinion. So please just leave it in the comments section, because you might help someone out. Fuck it, you might help us out.
You might help Zoli or me.
Exactly.
I'm guilty. I've been there. I know how it is, and I am actually...
Hashtag make us happy. Oh shit, that sounded weird.
Let's
No.
Happy endings. Hashtag go. It's good. No massages included. Shit, never mind. Go back to normal discussion. Yeah. Yes, we were talking about a serious subject here, not fucking around. But anyway,
we're just proving that we're children. So.
Yeah, that's good. Keep the kids inside. Never mind.
That's even worse. What?
Yeah, but I forgot one thing. One thing that actually helped me a bit, and it still does, when I do have my days where I feel, especially in the morning, when either I feel down, I feel like I'm really low on energy. I kind of take some kind of vitamins, multivitamins like B vitamin, C vitamin, stuff like that. It definitely boosts your both your immune system and your spirits in general. You get a bit of an energy boost. So
yeah, just another personal story. I moved here in Germany into North Rhine-Westphalia, which is famous for its British weather. You don't really see the sun for most of the year, and I was depressed, and I had panic attacks, which was something completely new for me. And I couldn't understand what's happening. And Imola was trying to help me, and she researched a lot and tried to talk to me on a daily basis, because it got into a stage that in the office I was just sweating bullets, and people couldn't talk to me because I just blocked. I couldn't hear anything. and I could hear my heart beating. I couldn't breathe. I was fucked up. And I started taking vitamin D because before working in an office, I was a dog trainer. So I was in the sun all day, and my body just missed it. And
yeah, definitely.
Once I started taking vitamin D, in a day or two, it completely went away, and I wasn't good as new, but I was a lot better.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that's my point. Just consult an expert, because it might be some fucking simple thing as that you miss sunlight, or you miss some sort of mineral or vitamin from your system, and you're good again. So you do not need to struggle with some shit, because the solution might be extremely simple.
Yeah, although one thing that is hard for people struggling with depression is just doing stuff. Doing in general. You have to do stuff, and that's exactly the opposite of what you really want to do. You really want to just not do anything, right? And that's sad. So just try to find the energy, try to find a way to start doing, and you'll be fine. I think it's a wrap for today, Zoli, or is it?
Yeah, it sort of is. I'm thinking of some clever ass way to end today's show, but I'm fucked. I don't know. I don't think
there's a need for a clever ass ending. Just I think this today has been a really heavy episode, maybe for some people, but it's necessary. Some of the issues that expats are going through are going under the radar and need
we'll
addressing.
Just call it expat depression. So if people do not want to listen, just scroll by, so we don't bring them down.
No, Zoli, that's not that's not an option. Everybody, click, listen, share, subscribe, comment,
and find us sponsors.
Yeah, and find us sponsors, like anyone, just someone.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for today, Zoli. It's been an interesting subject.
Thanks, Bogdan, and thank you guys for sticking around for so long. And I mean it. Just write your story down in the description, and if we deem it interesting enough, we might even invite you on the show to talk about it live pre-recorded on the show. There you get me.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.